Hi, and welcome to Coach's Corner, where systems matter and both personal and professional learning and development is beneficial for everyone and essential for some. As always, please like, subscribe, comment, share, and hit the notification bell. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, we're back with Coach Lil Z23, or better known as Brett Zandis. And I think it's been quite a while since we've been behind the mic.
2 weeks.
It's 2 weeks, not bad. I hope you guys enjoyed all the different clips that we brought out from the old videos. As you know, I'm sitting here with Brett Zandis, and we were just joking around a little bit about how he doesn't know how to introduce himself. Like he said, he's got a brain that works really fast, but it's not very big. So yeah. So today we're actually going to be talking about what he's created over the years, and to help his systems and different things like that. It's all the plugins that he's created for the last 20 years now?
Yeah, that's actually probably about correct.
Yeah, and this is just a small sample, and after we do the first 10 of them, you're thinking that's small. Yeah, that's very small compared to how big and broad this is.
I got a small brain. Yeah. I got small sample size.
Yeah. But it's some really good stuff, and we picked out the 10 that we think will benefit everyone, and then holistically, but also individually. But then also there's some ones that will help you as if you're trying to build your company and different things like that, and we'll work, get more into those as we do more videos. But before we get started, is there anything you would like to say? Or
yes, I'd like to introduce myself. Hi, I'm Brett Zandis. No, but no and yeah. So no to whatever you said, and yes, I want to say a little bit. Yeah, we created these over a 20-year period of working with tens and tens and tens of thousands of people.
Yeah,
and some of them just came about. So when I used to be a school teacher, you do all this planning and you go, oh, this is going to be great. And it would dive.
Right.
And then other things would just pop, which I think we're talking about OTJ today.
Yeah.
And it just happened.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I'll tell you about another thing I used to do with my special day kids. Best thing ever. So you're trying all these things and, they don't work, but sometimes it's the ones that just come naturally or organically, so to speak.
Right.
The God winks, as I call them. And so this is good stuff. And if you can understand the basics of all of these things, it'll help you, whether you're a parent, whether you're a mom, dad, single or not, whether you're the kid, if you're an athlete, of course, business people, entrepreneurs, it'll help everybody. Yeah. And it's pretty simple and basic. And I think that's what makes what I call good systems or structures or different things of that nature, is that they have to be simple. But to create them, it's not simple. Right. To create them's hard.
Hard, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oof. Well, the first one we're going to talk about is actually the accountability formula.
Yeah.
So before we get into that, can you first explain to us what the accountability formula is?
Yeah, to me, it's everything. It's. I always tell people at the end of, let's say, we do a consulting or a training or something. I said, if you can understand this, you understand at least 50% of life.
Okay.
And they go, what? They laugh or whatever. But so what we do in the accountability formula is we start with what we call the CR, which is clear expectations. Okay. And then at the top of this kind of triangle that I'm going to share, we have this M word, which is monitor.
Okay.
And then over to the far right, opposite of the clear expectations, we have the end result.
Okay.
And then at the bottom, and like I said, I used to put this on a board.
Yeah.
In front of 1,000 people, 100 people, one-on-ones, whatever. I always start with this.
Right. Okay.
Right. And I have them guess. Yeah. And they'll be like, oh, emergency room or this, that, whatever. But on the bottom, which is the key to it, is this big A.
Okay.
Right. And so I put quotations around it. I underline it. I bold it. I highlight it.
Everything.
And so we go through it, and I talk to them about accountability. And, they don't know what it is. Like I say, they say Eskimos over here and, emergency room and your mom's up, the M and A, they don't know, apples, avocado, whatever. But we get to them. And when I tell them that, it's really funny because a lot of this was made from our leadership group. And so I've, dealt with some high level people and they're shaking their head like this on the A, right?
Yeah,
accountability, because they're the leader, they're the big cheese. I call them the muckety mucks.
Right.
And they're going, yeah, if my people just knew accountability, everything would be perfect. And I'm like, no, if you knew accountability, it would be perfect.
Right.
And so that's the basis of it. And then the best story with that is, man, it's funny. So I actually lost like a $75,000 contract over this, but we were meeting with one of the largest school districts in this state, which is also in the nation and in the world. And I had about, I don't know, I think it's like between 80 and 100 muckety mucks in this auditorium. And so what we do is we make what we call normed agreements, you know, and they all agreed to it. I said, and I think we may talk about that today a little bit, because these things go hand in glove.
Right.
Or shoe and foot together. And so they all agreed to these 7 things. And one of them is to be in the moment, and the other one was stay off your phone.
Yeah.
And so I told them at the end, and this is part of what I call, you and I talk about psychological warfare. Right. I've already set it up. I said, now, if you choose not to hold yourself accountable, this A, then I will hold you accountable because you can't do it for yourself. Yeah. And so they're all, yeah, everybody, you know, they're all in, right? So about 7 minutes in, this fool in the back, one of the principals, man, you could tell he thought he was all that in a bag of rocks or chips. Rocks, as my mom say, chip as I say. And so I went up, and I don't ever stop when I'm talking. But I went up, and I was just doing my thing, and I whispered, you'll need to go outside, you're on timeout. And I just kept talking. Yeah. Well, he didn't leave. Yeah. Well, I got to be a man of my word, because I already told him I was going to hold him accountable. Yeah. And I told him the first thing I'll do is probably give you a timeout so you can go think about it, right? Yeah. And so this guy's used to leading, you know, 80 teachers or, you know, whatever, right? So apparently he was connected with the superintendent or something. Yeah. I made him go out. I stopped the whole thing then because he wouldn't go out. Yeah. So then I stopped. And I said, we'll wait for you. Man, he did not know what to do. And he went outside, but I had to prove a point. Right. And so, and so the last thing I'll say about the accountability formula, which is so important, I tell people when I'm serious, I'll grab them by their ears. That means I'm serious. Or like a pit bull on a piece of steak, you know, that means it's serious. What people don't understand, and if they did understand this, at first the accountability formula, you have to intervene a few times, like I did with him. Yeah. But once people know that you're a man or a woman of your word, it becomes total prevention. Right. So you've cut down on half of your workload right from the get-go. So whether you're dealing with kids, your own kids, you're dealing with 30 kids, you're dealing with an after-school program with 200 kids. You know, we used to have 370 kids in a cafeteria, and I could get them quiet just like that. Right. Because when they didn't do what I asked them to do after we made the agreements, I held them accountable to that. Right. Usually it was, remember the old basketball drill when you'd put your back against the wall and squat down and your hands had to be up? Yeah. That's what, because you couldn't corporal punish. Right. So I said, I will call every one of your moms, or you guys can do this for the next 2 minutes. Well, they were hitting the floor at, 30 seconds, 50 seconds, whatever. Well, they got the picture after that, right? I'm not playing around. So that formula, I'm telling you, has saved me so much grief and anguish over the 20 to 25 years. Right. I can't even tell you.
Yeah, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to this plugin, is it universal?
Yeah.
Or is it specific to a certain company or person?
Yeah, like a certain genre.
Yeah.
No, it's across the board. I don't care if you're doing it with music or if you're doing it with sports. I don't care if you're doing it with high-level CNN muckety mucks or if you're dealing with the 2-year-old. It doesn't matter if you're, you name it. You can name anything that comes out of your mouth, it'll work.
Got it.
Yeah. And if you understand it, like I said, it becomes prevention, and now things, that's speed.
Right.
Right? Because now your kid's not going to challenge you. Yeah. I was talking to my lady today that cleans my teeth, and she's what I call the director and teller. Yeah. And so, when you direct somebody, you're saying, go dump the trash. No, not with your right hand, with your left hand. No, not with that, both hands. Right? It's like step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. And so who owns the monkey? The mom or the dad who's saying that, or the teacher or whatever. Right. Or if they just go tell them. Like she said the day, she goes, well, I tell my kids when they before to go to bed, they need to get their pajamas. And then they forget. And I said, yeah, because you're owning the monkey.
Right.
I said, sit him down and say, this is the goal. In the next 2 minutes, you need to get everything, whatever you can think of, ready to go to bed. What are those things?
Right.
And so they say, well, I need to get my pajamas. I need to get my I need to, whatever they say.
Yeah.
And then if they miss one or two, you can blow it. Then you can direct and tell. Well, you also need to do this. What about, you know what it is. You've already played King and Queen of the World,
Right.
which I believe we'll talk about today. So you already know, but you don't just jump in. You just go, I wonder, what about brushing your teeth? And then they go, yeah, but the ownership's on them.
Yeah.
So now you do that 4, 5, 7 times. You've now prevented it because now they know what to do. Hey, it's bedtime.
Right.
Oh, well, we know we need to brush our teeth. We need to hug our mom. Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Wow. And so then what is the exact purpose of the accountability formula?
That prevention.
Okay.
But you have to intervene. I had a partner of mine that I was talking to about this.
Yeah.
And I said, you don't seem to be able to understand that this is not about intervention. But if I have to intervene, even with a partner, somebody who's like this, because if I have the nod on you, I call it the 10% rule.
Yeah.
If I'm the boss, that means 10% of the time I'm going to play boss.
Right.
Right? I don't want to ever play boss. I want to listen. What do you think? Let's come up with stuff together.
Right.
But I was with this partner and I said, look, we're wasting all this time because you're not following the normed agreements that you came up with. See, they're not my normed agreements.
Right.
So where's the ownership on them? Just like with the dentist lady's kids.
Right.
She has all the monkeys on her.
Yeah.
All the ownership's on her. Put it on your kids.
Yeah.
Right? Or like we've talked about, with your girlfriend.
Right.
There's only so many no's in the bag.
Right.
So why are you going to, when the kid's like getting ready to walk and stuff and they're on the table, don't push all this stuff back. They're going to have to function in a world where people don't, maneuver stuff around for them. And don't tell them no every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Redirect them to Legos, redirect them to a video, redirect them to wherever you want them to go. And then when you say no, they're like, they know that's serious. Like my mom and dad never say no.
Yeah.
So they're going to stop right now.
Absolutely. And so now we will move into King and Queen.
Yeah.
What is playing King and Queen?
So playing King and Queen of the World is, you figure out you want to be the king or the queen, doesn't matter.
Okay.
But it's basically saying, look, in my perfect world, what would this look like?
Okay.
So I do that prior to me going into anything. Okay. So let's say that I go in and we'll stick with that principal that went and told the tattletaled on me to the superintendent. I lost a $70,000 contract. But I was still a man of my word. I'd rather lose the money and keep my integrity.
Yeah.
So in that situation, I had already said what I thought the normed agreement should be. I already played King and Queen of the World. So I came up with my 10 things that I thought. Okay. So then I say to them, hey, I want to do some normed agreements so that we know how to deal with each other in this situation, in this gathering, in this training, in this dinner table, whatever, so if you're a parent at the dinner table, in the store at Walmart, whatever, right? You play these normed agreements. So what do you guys think would be important? So remember, I've come up with 10. And let's say they say 7 of my 10. Okay? Or maybe they say 7 and or 8 and one I didn't even think of. I'm like, that's a good one. Right?
Yeah.
So I say, okay, great. Now here's where you can make a mistake in King and Queen of the World. So at that point, you could go right back in for the kill like we talked about, and you could say one of yours.
Yeah.
Well, I told you to wear a red shirt on Monday. No, because then you own it again. Everything needs to be on them.
Got it.
So let's say they only give you 7 of the 10. First of all, figure out, are those other 3 so critical, or can we add them later? This is a living document. They call it a living Bible, even though most people said it on the... Yeah, it gets dusty and everything. I said, we can change these things.
Right.
So they give their list, right? And I always write them down so it's a visual. They can see them.
Yeah.
Right? So we write them down and I say, okay, so let's discuss these and make sure we're on the same page. Like my favorite is be respectful. Oh my gosh, right? It's impossible.
Yeah.
As we've said many a time, you come into a Greek home, it wouldn't look very respectful.
Right.
We argue, we're loud, we're your mama this and your grandma that and your sister, and we may throw a few things, and right, we argue passionately. So the first time you're a part of that, you know, or I've heard, I don't know this, but I've heard Italian homes, they're like, well, you know, like they're into it, right? And so you may not think that's very respectful. So I hate that one, but everybody says be respectful. But anyway, you go through them and you know, everybody understands them. And then you say this. So there's 80, 100 people out there, or one-on-one, doesn't matter. So if you can't agree with all 7 of these, and this is me too, then go ahead and stand up. Yeah, that's psychological warfare.
Right.
But if they do, that's fine.
Right.
So when we used to go to LA, one of the things we did everywhere else, up and down the state, everywhere and throughout the nation, everyone on time. They would. So I that was a big one for me.
Right, being on time.
Yeah. So exactly. So so they mentioned, you know, these 7, and they didn't get to one of my 3, which would be on time, and I go, well, what about? Oh, I know. Maybe being on time. They go, we can't do it. And I'm like, well, tell me more.
Right.
Well, you know, we've been down to the traffic. You'd have to leave at 2:00 in the morning to almost guarantee to be there at 8, because you don't know, one wreck or one weird something, it's over. So we took that one off the plate. Yeah, because nobody could agree to that. So that's kind of, you know, that's a long version of it, but people need to understand it, because, you know, you're going in with your ammo, so to speak.
Right.
And again, if it's not critically important that they don't say you're 8th, 9th, and 10th, don't say anything. Just say, okay, we all agree, that's great, and then revisit that later. Hey, I've been thinking, you know, could we add red shirt on Monday? Oh yeah. Well, then they think it still doesn't come from you as the facilitator, the boss, the parent, right? Yeah. And so what happens is, from there, they've taken 100% ownership, and then what do? I tie it like a monkey right back to the accountability formula. Now, if you can't do that, and you can't hold yourself accountable, I'll be sure to do that for you. Right. Which is what I said to the principal, which he didn't, so I did.
Yeah, gotcha.
It's a complex blah blah, but it's real simple if you think about it.
Yeah, and so you know, like you said, prevention was for the accountability formula. Yeah. What would you say the purpose of King and Queen is?
Same thing. It's that, first of all, you're prepared for what you think. Yeah. Because you should go in prepared all the time. Right. I tell people, don't go into a gunfight with a butter knife. You'll probably lose. Yeah. Right. So, you know, preparation. It also fits into our individual system, which, you know, goes mindset and then get organized. Yes. And this, you know, the mindset of accountability formula, the king and queen of the world's a little bit of getting organized for yourself. And then you're going in to where we call it the ownership, either model or formula, which says people that have input, right? So if you have input, which they are, right, then they're going to get involved, which they want to, right? And that's going to lead to ultimate ownership when you close the deal and say, okay, so this is what everybody's thinking this is. We're all on the same page. Yeah. This means red shirt on Monday, not blue shirt on Wednesday. Yeah. They go, yes. Okay, great. So we're on agreement, or stand up. And if somebody does stand up, well, let's walk through that. Right. And then we'll work it out, just like you would in a court of law. With if you're a juror, you work it out. You know, there's 10 people that think they're guilty and 2 that don't, and then you work it out. Yeah. Got it.
And so for King and Queen, would you say that this is a universal or a specific to genre or company of yours?
Absolutely, it's universal. It can work with a 2 or 3 year old. It may only be 1 or 2 things. Right. It can work with a 90-year-old man. Yeah. Right? Because in the end, if you think about this, what happens is that if you're a supervisor, or if you're the person that's, the first among equals, or the person that's the boss, or the muckety muck, or whatever, or if you're just holding yourself accountable. Yeah. Right? The key is that I used to say, if I'm your supervisor, I'm going to hold the mirror up to your face. And what do most people do when they see blemishes? They break the mirror, they turn away from the mirror, they don't want to whatever. Well, if I'm supervising you, I'm going to run to the other side and show you again. Yeah. And say, look, you got to be able to identify your blemishes, and then you figure out whether you want to do something with them. Yeah. It's one thing to say, I'm in denial, I'm not an alcoholic. Yeah. No, fool, here's the mirror, you are an alcoholic. Now, you may not want to do anything about it,
Right.
But or no, fool, it said red shirt, you agreed to it, you're not doing that. So what can I do? At first it's what can I do to help and support you?
Right.
And eventually it's you get slapped around a little bit or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Is this coming back to you as my child?
No, I don't think I've heard this. So just a quick question for the playing king and queen. Let's say you had 10 things.
Yeah.
And they gave you 5.
Yes.
But out of the 10, all 5 were different. So out of the 10 that you thought of, none were mentioned.
Yeah.
But those 5 were good, and like, okay, yeah, cool. 5.
No, I mean,
okay.
Because all you're doing in King and Queen of the World is what you think. But remember, you get 80 heads in the room.
Yeah.
They're probably going to be smarter than you, no matter how smart you are.
Got it.
So usually I had it down to a science, because by the 3rd, 5th, 10th time, because you did it so many times, that nobody would throw one in.
Right.
But then LA threw one in, and when I said, well, tell me about that, I was like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're not going to have to do some things in the moment and on the fly.
Right.
But because you've prepped with King and Queen of the World, probably you're not going to have to do much. And if you do, you're only thinking about maybe 1 or 2 things. There will never probably be 5 if you play King and Queen of the World correctly. Okay. There may be 1 or 2 at best. And then you put it out there with the group. Hey, what do you think? Yeah, I can't be here on time. Let's not leave at 2 in the morning. Well, that doesn't make sense. It's not practical. No. It's not pragmatic. It's not smart. So then we pivot. Yeah. Or somebody, is going through it in 3 weeks and they come back in and say, I can't do number 7. Yeah. Okay, well, let's talk about that. Okay, well, do we all still agree? Or variations of it. So 80 people in the room, they can all do it, but she just had a child and she's up late and tired. She can't. Well, we give her an out on that one thing. Yes, let's all vote. Yeah. So in the end, it doesn't matter. It all works out in the wash.
Okay, got it. So now we're going to move to normed agreements.
Yeah.
What is normed agreements?
It's that. It's saying, how will we conduct ourselves within this setting? Right. So you and I have said within this YouTube setting, and, it's going to go to the audio and the podcast, written transcription, blah-de-da-de-da-de, right? Yes. But we've said these were our agreements, right? We're going to go about an hour to 90 minutes. You're going to do an interview style. Not that we won't ever cuss, but we'll try to stay away from cussing. Yeah. We're going to try to be as straightforward and direct as we can. Yes. Number one, bottom line is to add value to the audience. I mean, we've said this is what we think. Right? We're going to not wear the same colored shirts, right? You may wear your hat like this. I may, whatever the case may be. So there are agreements. Yeah. And then we make adjustments from those, right? Make pivots, right? Which goes back to the individual system. Yeah. We collect data. Oh, this works. This didn't. I don't know if you remember, but we have over 200 videos now. Mm-hmm. Remember the first one, the camera we had was one of those that moved and it would get blurry. So we had to change that. Yeah. Or another one was the audio wasn't as good. Mm-hmm. So we changed that. And so, I hear people say all the time, just start. That's what you should do on YouTube because, we had a little bit of thought to it, but we've had, 703 pivots in just a couple months. And I'm sure it'll get better and better as we get, better and better.
Right. And so for us, I know that we don't have to revisit them as much, but for someone that has to, let's say, go in once a week, maybe even once every other week to do a meeting. Yeah. Would you revisit those normed agreements?
Yes.
Every time?
Great question. Because sometimes we would only go in once a month. Right. I mean, we were pretty expensive on a daily basis. Yeah. So we would go in and we would go once a month and we would do like 2 or 3 days. I'd always start right there. I would put up the accountability formula and I'd say, hey, anybody not remember this? They'd all laugh because the funny thing was, just as a sidebar, kind of the give and the take. You and I are talking about it as psychological warfare, but I was teaching them how to do so. So then, but I got so good at it, I could still do psychological warfare. There's a couple things on our coaching piece that we created and stuff, and I would tell them like 4 seconds beforehand, and then still get them. Right. On the psychological warfare, and I said, I just got you. They're like, oh! Right. And they just got it because you get so good at it. Right. So the reality is that, yes, you would revisit that. You would start to add in, hey, have you guys played King and Queen of the World? Are you starting to, so we would check in with them. But, yeah, I would always start with those things and say, hey, what's next? Get prepared,
Right.
because I wanted to be at my best for those 80 or 100 or 1,000 or one-on-one, whatever.
Right, absolutely. And so then, I assume that this one is also universal. So then my question is, was it your, did it happen by accident, or did it happen on purpose for you to link all of these first three so far, starting with the accountability formula, to link into King and Queen, to link into Northern Agreements?
Yeah, that's a great question. It was a both and I don't remember the sequence of how we came up with these.
Got it.
But we knew in the end that, in systems, the better you can link things together, the better it's going to be. So if you think about the old game Donkey Kong,
Yeah.
There were systematic things that you did to be able to beat that game,
Right.
or there were patterns, right?
So you
In
could follow.
in Pac-Man,
Yeah.
right? I used to beat the whole game because you just fall, and you get to all the keys, or I forget what that tip top these keys, and but you get eaten, right? Like, ugh. Then you go, okay, then you re-pattern and whatever,
Right.
and that's my big thing with the people is, hey, why are you doing what you're doing? Is it based off of tradition? Because I love, systems, structures, processes, procedures, customs, habits. I love it.
Yeah.
But not if it's not by your choice. If you're just doing stuff based off of what mom and dad did and it's good, then good.
Right.
But if it's bad or it's not great or it's maybe something where you don't want to be, well, then change it. Yeah.
So now we're going to talk about ownership cycle, which I think is, I think probably one of the most underrated things that people talk about is taking ownership.
Yeah.
I think because it gets lost a lot.
Yeah.
But let's start with, what is the ownership cycle?
So we kind of talked about that before. So I like to kind of string together ownership, thoughtfulness, and intentionality together.
Yeah.
But the actual ownership model or formula, or we've changed it to model, formula, model, cycle, whatever. But it is that. It starts, we go I, and it leads into the O. So input, right? That means you're already starting to own, right? If I'm just receiving, and that's all that I'm doing, I don't have to own that. That's your stuff, giving it my way.
Right.
But if I get input, red shirt on Monday or green shirt on Tuesday or whatever,
Right.
even if it doesn't always work out my way, I'm able to give input.
Yeah.
And when I'm giving input, what am I doing? I'm involved. So now if I'm giving input and I get involved, then the next little baby step is ownership. And when you take ownership, then we go the other direction and we say, now that you've taken this ownership, how are you being thoughtful? And how will you be intentional? So like when we used to say this with my basketball team, I used to say there's three types of kids. There's the kid that goes on the ground for the ball because coach said.
Yeah.
There's the kid that doesn't go on the ground for the ball at all.
Yeah.
And then there's the kid that goes on the ground for the ball because they want the ball. Well, that third person who wants the ball has taken ownership.
Yeah.
And probably they've been thoughtful about it.
Right.
So do I dive head first? Do I just go in with my hands only? Do I just dive in with my body? Do I twist my, right?
Right.
And then being super intentional on when those things would happen.
Yeah.
Well, you know the math to that.
Yeah.
If you do that, you win most of the time.
Yeah, 9 times.
Yeah. And if the guy that has the same kind of mindset, ownership, thoughtful, whatever, and you guys both go at it and they're more talented than you, then they win.
Yeah.
Yeah, but right, then you kick them in the shin and then you win.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so with the ownership cycle,
no, it's the formula. No, it's the model.
Yeah.
No, it's the
Yeah.
I'm like, whatever. Yeah.
I want to ask this correctly. Where do you think people falter? Why do you think people have such an issue with taking ownership?
Well, think about it, right? You're putting yourself out there. So I love all sports, you know that. I love the Bible and I love sports. That's about as far as I go.
Yeah.
I'm simple-minded, right?
Yeah.
But think about it. Yeah, I like football. And yeah, I like basketball. But I used to love to wrestle.
Right.
And I used to love to do track and field. Why? There's no excuses. It's me versus you.
Right.
And I dig that. And at the end, if I've given my best and you've given your best and you beat me, I'm gonna kick you in your shin.
Yeah.
Right? But I'm gonna at least be able to look at myself in the mirror and go, I gave everything and they were just more talented than me.
Yeah.
So if you think about ownership or thoughtfulness or intentionality, all of that means you're putting yourself on the line. right? Same thing we talked about in our sales talk.
Yeah.
Why don't people do that? Because you may get your butt kicked.
Right.
You may lose. And so what do people do? They go, I'm not putting it out there. I'm sitting right here. I'm going to play it safe. Well, you go right ahead and play it safe. And we've talked about that. I've had thousands and thousands of people that have come back to me and said, thank you, you changed my life. Mm-hmm. I put it out there.
Yeah.
I've been stabbed in my back, for goodness sakes. Right? But I just kept putting it out there. Whereas a lot of people, they're like, they don't put it out there. And then they go, man, how come you get all of the people? Because I put it out there, idiot. That's why. Right. Put it yourself out there. You're going to take some losses, but you're going to get some wins too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The ownership cycle, module, formula, etc. ...
Yeah.
Is that universal as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
So out of the first 4, I know they all go hand in glove,
Yeah, shoe and foot and all that on there.
Which one would you have people start with?
I start with the accountability formula.
That's what
I'm very intentional with the way that we did it. So we've tried a bunch of stuff. I mean, this isn't, we've done this based off of trial and error.
Right.
We've been in front of 10,000 groups of one.
Yeah.
Or hundreds. Even we've trained in front of thousands before. We do the same thing every time. This is our system. But we didn't start that way. We went in there and went, hey, we're going to teach you something today. Yeah. And they're like, oh boy. But you figure it out.
Yeah. Got it. So now we're going to talk about patterns of change.
Yeah.
So what is patterns of change?
That's funny. Hopefully I'll remember it all because I haven't talked about it in a long time. But act like there's stair steps going up, right? Okay. And so the first 3 are A, K, A. Okay? And so the first A is awareness. Mm-hmm. And I always liken it to, hi, I'm Brett, I'm an alcoholic. Right. Or, hi, I'm Coach Little Z, I'm a fat rear end. That's PHAT fat for you viewers out there, right? But it's awareness. It's saying, hi, I'm the alcoholic. Hi, I'm this, I'm high, whatever. Mm-hmm. Right? I'm this, that, or whatever. Yeah. So then, if you think about a step, there's the corner of that step. Yeah. So then you have to make a choice or a decision to go up a step. Okay. Okay. So, hi, I'm an alcoholic. I'm cool with it. That's it. We're done. Yep. Patterns of change is done for you. Yeah. Right. But if you make the choice to go to the next one, which is K, AKA, is knowledge. Okay. So now you're going to go seek out knowledge. So let's go back with the fat. PHAT. Jesus. So when you say that, you go, okay, I heard about this Atkins thing. Oh, I heard about this keto thing. Oh, I heard about this intermittent fasting thing, right? Yeah. So that's where a lot of people get stuck. So they, a lot of people go, hi, I'm an alcoholic. They don't care. Most people don't even say, hi, I'm an alcoholic. So they stop right there. Right. But then if they do say that, they're like, well, I'm not going to choose that. But if they choose it, they go out and they seek knowledge, and we call them the knowledge monsters. They just keep on, they know every diet, it's me in that world. And everything else, I go to the next step, which is action. So, once you get all the knowledge, you may go, same thing. Choice or, am I going to go the next step to take action? I'm not doing that. I'm not intermittent fasting. I'm not getting rid of my bang. Yeah. I'm not, whatever it is. I'm not drinking 140 ounces of water. Whatever the knowledge that you have, But if you do take that step, it kind of goes back and forth. Usually it's not just I go AKA and then I stay in action. Right. Because it doesn't work. Yeah. Or it needs a little bit more work. So you go back and seek some more knowledge. Mm-hmm. So as long as you're taking the action, eventually you find something that works. Right. And so you start taking that action. But like I tell people, in the patterns of change, anybody can get riled up for 30, 60, 90 days. Mm-hmm. The next one is C, which is commitment. Okay. Right? So you got to be committed to taking the action on a regular basis over and over and over again. What do we call that? Pattern. It's got to be a pattern, a habit, a ritual, a custom, all the way through. Yep. And so, and then in the last step is an S, which is for sustainability. Like you basically... they say 21 days for a new habit or 10,000 hours to be really good at something or whatever. But now it's sustainable. It becomes a lifestyle versus a diet. Yeah. And so, you know, you can plug yourself into the patterns of change at any time on anything.
Yeah.
And if you ask me if it's universal, the answer is yes.
Yeah.
Right? Because it doesn't matter. Yeah, we're all in that continuum. And if you named, you know, if I asked you to name 10, you know, sections or categories of your life, you'd be able to plug right into them. So I could say, hey, where do you fit spiritual religiously? I'm on the I didn't take it. I'm not on the spectrum, right?
Yeah.
Okay, where are you at with mindset? Well, I'm here. Where are you at with your workout? Where are you at with your sports? Where are you at with your girlfriend? Where are you at with your child and, you know, father-son relationship? Where are you at? Where are you at? Where are you at?
Right.
Yeah.
Got it.
I figured you're going to ask me that, so I just wanted to save you some time.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
And so,
I time hack.
Well, you skipped the first question though before that.
Oh, what was it? What was it?
What is the purpose of patterns of change?
You don't correct me. You don't correct the expert.
Okay.
And what's the question?
What is patterns of change for?
It's for that. It's another way to look at the mirror. Mm-hmm. So, you know, sometimes you only need one thing, accountability.
Yeah.
The accountability formula, it's simple.
Right.
Other times you need several mirrors. This is the normed agreements is a mirror. Right. The patterns of change is a mirror. Yeah. It's a mirror for you on where are you at within your journey of whatever you're trying to accomplish.
Got it. Yeah.
And you don't correct me again.
Okay.
All right, I'm taking over the interview. Yes. Why'd you wear the Bass Pro Shops hat?
It's my only black hat.
it matches.
Yeah.
Hey, your mom's getting through to you. See? Patterns of change.
So what are the W's? The what, why?
Yeah, it's funny though, but I love it. This is another frame, like almost like the discount double check. You can kind of do a checklist when you're just, you know, initially brainstorming or thinking about something or whatever. So the whys or the W's are why, right? Yeah. And then it goes who, what, when, where, and how spelled backwards, which is a W, right? And so we came up with that. And so that's something you can quickly run through either, you know, formally or informally. And it's really a cool little piece because, you know, I say to myself a few times a day that, why? Why am I doing that? Why did I go to the dentist today? Well, I got to keep my insurance up. I got to go twice a year, right? I probably need to keep my teeth okay, although whatever, right? You know, whatever, you know, why, right? And I come back with, okay, and I just go through every one of the W's at the end and I go, I guess I better go to the freaking dentist. Yeah. You know?
Might as well do it.
Might as well. By the way, can we talk about your dentist experience? Because I heard you were whining pretty good.
I had no cavities. That's all that matters. So that's all I have to say.
And you're off my health insurance when you're 26. Yeah.
Good thing I'm 21.
Oh, boy.
So
it's getting hot in here, man. Can we turn on the fan? Yeah. All these lies.
Do you run through all these on a normal basis, would you say, starting with the accountability formula? So and it's just so second nature to you?
Yep. Yep.
Now, for someone that hasn't run through those ever, or let's say at a very limited, or they've done it
like sporadically, or
no, what's the word? Informally, sorry.
Yeah.
So, you know, they've done it informally, but now they're gonna, have names to it, formally do it.
Yeah.
How long would you think it would take someone to, get used to doing these?
So come back to that, because I think you make a good point. That's one of the things where we can really help people. Mm-hmm. So we give these things names and titles and different things of that nature. Yeah. But you're right. A lot of people will do these things informally, but because there's not a name to it, patterns of change, accountability formula, it's sporadic, it's informal, it doesn't always happen. So it's weak. Yeah. Right? Whereas when you put names to it and you commit to it, you take ownership, take ownership of the ownership cycle. You do all this stuff. And now, it's like having that workout buddy, but you're just doing it with yourself. Things really, happen. Yeah. So I'm glad you kind of brought that up because I think that's something that the audience, we could have missed to say. But I forgot your question.
Yeah. Just how long do you think, because for you it's second nature, for someone that hasn't done it or very limited, how long?
So the studies say 21 days of consistently doing something to create a new habit. Yeah. So that's not, in the realm of time, that's nothing. Yeah.
Not even a full month.
Yeah. And so, think about it. If you start doing the things we're talking about and you just do one for 21 days, accountability formula,
Yeah.
And then you do the next one, king and queen of the world, right? And that you hook them together, and then you do another 12. In a year's time, you're gonna be freaked out how far along you are in your life, let alone in whatever else specifically you're trying to do. We talk about it with competency and capacity.
Yeah.
So competency says that you're going to do this specific thing better over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Capacity says it's going to affect your life in positive ways. And I was telling you that the other day. We're getting some stuff ready. At the end of each of these videos, we do like DC or Marvel and put some stuff at the end, and I want to bolster that up a little bit. And so, it's too bad we didn't have video footage of everything we did. We didn't have phones at first, and did the flip phones even have cameras?
I think some did, but it was kind of wacky.
Yeah. So even when we had those, we just didn't do that. Yeah. But on some of the ones we did. It was really cool because they were saying, yeah, you helped us personally,
right?
But professionally too, with my own child, with my own whatever.
Yeah.
And so we always talk about the pebble in the water. Where do the ripples go? Right. So that's pretty cool, to know that you've affected people that you don't even know 10 generations down. Hey, I worked with this person who had this kid, who had twins, who had. Well, that's 5 generations down already, technically.
Yeah.
You're like, wow, that's impactful.
Yeah, absolutely. So now we move into gradual release of responsibility.
Yeah.
Which I personally think is, one of the biggest things parents can do for their kids. Just because that's what's happened to me. What you guys have done for me over the time, and I think that's why. Not to say I'm successful or anything, but
Well, you are. I want mindset wise, I would never. You have things you have to work on. So do I.
Yeah. I'm
52. You're not. But I don't know how much more successful you can be than third in the nation.
Yeah.
I'm not saying half the ability of those other guys, but you weren't as athletic as them, or just I'll take that back. You were at least athletic. You didn't have the size they had.
Yeah.
And size matters, people.
In sports, does, for sure.
And other ways, but we're keeping it G or PG.
So what is gradual release of responsibility?
So, first of all, I thought actually Harvard had put it out.
Okay.
Somebody else put it out. I don't remember who, but I wanted to be correct on that. But Harvard did the study on it.
Okay.
And so I want to run a parallel. So I don't know who did the study on that. I may have to ask you that question again, but.
Yeah.
Somebody did a study. So back in the day, we would watch Sesame Street.
Yep.
And did you watch Sesame Street?
No, but
you know about it.
Yeah.
So it would teach you numbers and shapes and colors and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And they found out that's not the case at all. It wasn't when you saw that. It was when your mom or your grandma sat you on their knee and what we call debrief or review or reflect and talk to you about it, where it became cemented in your head.
Okay.
Right? And so I don't remember the question, but I know that I'll run a parallel with that in the end. So what was the question?
What is gradual release?
Yeah, so the gradual release of responsibility is another way to cement learning. Right? So the debrief or the review, but what we call the reflection of the debrief cements learning.
Yeah.
Right? Because we say we want to take every activity and make it a learning opportunity. Yeah. And the way you do that is through a debrief or a reflection. Well, that's on the back end.
Yeah.
But on the front end, the best way to teach people is act like you have a rectangle, and that's broken up into what I would say 4 sections.
Okay.
And then draw a line right down the middle.
Yep.
Right? And so at the bottom, it would say 4 on the left side and 0 over here. Okay. So what this side represents is the person that's teaching. So let's say I'm teaching you something. So this 4 is going to represent what I need to do. The 0 is going to represent what you need to do.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about it. So let's go all the way back and start, hooking monkeys together.
Yeah.
So I've already played King and the Queen of the World. You already know about the accountability formula. And I state, kind of like I was telling the dentist lady, what do they call those people?
Hygienist?
Yeah, is that what they are?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's the hygienist and the assistant, right? The hygienist, the one that scrapes your teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that one. It's like I told her, I said, who owns the monkey? So what happens is you state the objective holistically. So let's say I say to you when you're 5, hey, Nick, you've got to be able to get ready in the morning to go to kindergarten. So I would say, I've already played King Queen of the World. I've already showed you the accountability form. We already know this, even as a little kid.
Right.
I do it in stickers with the little kids. I just put it on, right? Because, they like stickers. Yeah. Or let them draw on the whiteboard or, anything like that. But anyway, so what happens is that, you're 5. You don't really know. You've never been to kindergarten, let's say. But you say, I don't know. And then I would say, but let's say you come up with 2, and I'll forget the 4 that I'm going to mention. You have to remind me. But let's say you say, I got to kiss my mom and I got to brush my teeth. And let's say that there were 2 more in there that you have to get your backpack ready and high five your brother, whatever. Yeah. So what happens is that we make that agreement, normed agreement. You go, yes, I'm going to be doing that tomorrow morning, Dad, whatever. Right. So I get up, say, hey, remember, we're going to be going to kindergarten. What were the 4 things that you said that you wanted to do to get there? Blah, blah. Yeah. I'll put it back on you. Mm-hmm. And you say, these are the 4. And I say, great, son. I'm going to do all 4 while you watch. Yep. You don't have to do anything. And so I do all 4, especially kiss your mom. Yeah. It's not your brother. Just kidding, Ryan. And you watch. Mm-hmm. So then the next day, or maybe it's 3 days later, I don't know. Everybody's different. Yeah. The pacing. But let's say for you did everything fast. So I said, hey, what's the 2 easiest? And you go, oh, kiss my mom and high five my brother. I say, okay, next step up is 2 and 2. Mm-hmm. I say, I'll do the 2 difficult ones. And then it's like a relay race. You do the 2 easy ones. Got it. Then the next step up is 2 and 2. But guess what? It's flipped. You're going to do the 2 most difficult. I'm going to do the 2 easiest. And then the last one is I have a 0. You have all 4. Okay. Right? And so now, right? Yep. You know it, right? Yep. But what do we normally do? We have expectations. Hey, you need to get ready for school. And then we do what? Direct and tell. You did it. And then they forget, they missed, and there's no ownership on them. Right. So, yeah, it's a constant mess. So people say, well, guy, that seems like a little bit of time up front. I'm like, yeah, fool, but you know how much time you're going to save on the rear ends
right, when they're 15,
of that?
16, 17.
Exactly. Yeah. Or when they're first grade, second grade. Yeah. Because you can do that in everything at first, and then eventually they quit coming to you. They start doing it themselves. We did that with you guys. Mm-hmm. The reason you guys didn't smoke, drink and drive, have unprotected sex, all that, it's not because we said, you don't do that. Right. We were teaching you at this I was talking you in the womb. Yeah. Like, bro, I don't make decisions for you. Yeah. You got to make, but and even today, sometimes you call me, sometimes you don't. But I say, this is what I think. I don't tell you what to do. Right. Everybody's going to be a grown-up. And I used to tell the parents out there, if you plan on having that kid on your hip when they're 20 and 30 and 40, then continue to direct and tell. But if you expect them to go out on their own, you might want to reconsider. Yeah, absolutely. And that's when you get the helicopter parents. Oh, my gosh, dude. It's Walmart. Well, I don't go anymore, but it's an experience.
Well, that is true for multiple reasons. Let alone just that specific. Walmart is something else, no matter who, where, what you're doing.
Hey, they have really low-carb bread, though, and it's 45 calories per slice.
I think I'd rather just go to Target or order it online.
They don't have it. It's like well, I'm sure they do, but this is like a new
Walmart
new brand. Yeah, I don't know. It's not, but whatever. Anyway.
I think you just
I don't go there. Matter of fact, I went to Albertsons today. I called my wife instantly and said, I love you. If I ever say anything to you cross again, you slug me in the mouth as hard as you can. Because I don't know how you do it. I was stressed out. I was like, I got to get out. And I only bought like 7 items. Yeah. I'm sweating really bad now.
So obviously for the purpose or the reason for gradual release responsibility is for whoever to take responsibility for what they're doing.
Yeah, but I would say that's a little misleading. But okay. Yes, but the gradual release of responsibility is more on my end. Okay. Giving it away to them. It's just a way to teach them impactfully. Okay. So then at the end of the day, you come back and you debrief with them or you do a reflection. And so we do what we call confirmation, tweaks, ahas. And I don't know if we'll talk more about that today. Yeah. But if we do, I'll get into it more. It's very critical. Right. So I look at almost like the accountability formula is 50%. Debrief or reflection at the end of the day is about 25%. Okay. You put just those 2 things together, yeah, you're probably 75% plus better than most.
Got it. Now, would you say there's a time limit or a time frame, or like where you can't do the gradual release of responsibility with someone? Like after the age of 13, that it's too late, too far. Okay, no.
No, I mean, think about even with you guys, who are experienced and da. I say at first, let's spend a lot of time together.
Yeah.
So, right, and that's like a gradual release. I'm not doing anything though. That's the difference.
Mm-hmm.
But I say, let me see your work, and then once we get it to where it's like, okay, they get it, then I don't even know what the heck you guys are doing.
Right.
Probably out, at drinking beer by the pool when you're supposed to be working. But you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But and I always tell people that too. It's understanding conceptually what it means. You don't always have to run it to the letter of the law, but if you conceptually understand that anything that's new, that the person may not, maybe they know a lot about it, but I want to know that they know a lot about it so that we're right on track. Because as we've talked about before, when two people are communicating, when it comes out of, from this guy's heart out through his brain, out of his mouth, where does it go? And everybody says to the other guy's ears. And you and I know differently. It goes into circumstance first, right? And then it goes into the ear. And we've talked about that. So if I'm like, dude, we're having a luau, it's going to be great. I'm going to roast some pig, Well, in my brain, I'm like, oh man, this is going to be awesome. In your brain, you're like, dude, I'm Jewish. I don't eat pig. Right? I'm kosher. So this ain't so fun to me.
Right.
That's kind of the circumstance before it enters your brain.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a matter of conceptually understanding these things. And I feel real bad for the parents out there, or if you're a businessman, or it doesn't matter. I see it all the time. It's like, I'm like, dude, you're your own worst enemy. You're everything. You got to go do this, you got to do that. Blah, blah, blah. My wife doesn't direct and tell.
Yeah.
Crickets.
So now we'll move into OTJ.
Yeah.
Which I don't even know what OTG stands for.
I don't think I do either, but
Yeah.
I think it was on the job training. So I used to call it Jerry Springer,
Uh-huh.
and my boss told me I need to clean that up because
Okay.
Jerry wasn't as bad as he is now,
Right.
where it was real crazy. I mean, it was still a little off,
Right.
but that's kind of like what it was.
Okay.
And so, did you already ask a question? Or I have to jump in on you.
You did jump in, but go for it. Because
Go
the
for
question
it.
is, what is OTJ?
Yeah, so I think it's on the job training. It used to be Jerry Springer.
Mhm.
And this is one of those things that just came about.
Okay.
So I believe it may have been, I mean, technically my fourth large or fairly large adult group that I ever worked with.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys were challenged,
Yeah.
right? So God's a funny guy.
Uh-huh.
He gave me 16 special day kids, and then he gave me 30 adults that were worse, right?
Yeah.
And so we had this 8-hour training that we would do every Monday. That was part of this was a grant program. And we would do 8 hours worth of training. That was part of the grant. And so, I'd always circle them up. So I wanted to see them, and
Yeah.
stuff. You learn that too, right? You used to have them like this and they're jerking around in the background and, the students. So then
Right.
you go, okay, well, the adults are worse because they're typically usually smarter. So anyway, we'd circle up and I'd 8-hour agenda. And I usually say for an 8-hour agenda, probably you're going to prep 8 hours, depending on
Oh, yeah.
it's like a 1-for-1. So anyway, so I prepped and whatever. And I don't even remember how it happened. It was one of those fluky deals.
Yeah.
And we just started talking. And it just occurred to me, I was like, they need this. Like, they need an outlet to say their, what I would call pretty stupid stuff,
Yeah.
right? Like, stuff that I would just be like, just do that.
Right.
Like, this is 1 + 1 = 2. But they didn't see it like that.
Right.
So I went, well, hey, you know what? Whether you're a special day kid at 12 or 13, or you're a special day kid, we had a 77-year-old woman in there, or whether you're a special day kid at 77, they need similar things.
Yeah.
So I just kind of let it run, and about an hour later, I was like, this is Jerry freaking Springer. But it was so beneficial for them. They were getting, their problems out.
Yeah.
So in the end, that's kind of the origin story of it.
Yeah.
But what we did is we turned it into, you could talk about anything personal or professional. You could talk, praise people, or you could talk trash to them. Get it out, right? And so one of the things that I used to say, which is probably not real popular, but I said, look, we're not going to talk about people in the, the hallway or in the parking lot. Because I overheard them doing this. So this girl would say to that lady, oh, your dress looks so cute. But I'd hear him in the parking lot saying, that's the ugliest dress. She thinks she's all that. And I said, we're not playing that.
Yeah.
You don't say that. And so, like I tell people, I'll embellish, right?
Yeah.
I do it, but I won't lie about it. So if you show me a picture of your kid, like Avalos' son showed me a picture of his kid today. She's cute.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that's a cute baby. If it wasn't cute, I would not say that. I would say congratulations.
Right.
So I'm not going to lie about it. So we kind of had an open forum. But it was so cool because then it was all there and it was in a controlled setting because they're from the hood. They were a little ghetto fabulous, man. They would have duked it out if we didn't get it out in here. And so the best story about OTJ, though, to tell you the power and the impact of it, and first of all, it starts off as a praise fest. Right. Yeah, because people, there's got to be trust in the room to get out vulnerable stuff.
Yeah.
So at first, everybody's like, "Oh, thank you, Joey, for da da da." Then Joey thanks Tim, and Tim thanks Joe. I'm like, "Come on, we can only do one." And the only one rule was you couldn't clap for yourself. That's the only rule. Yeah. So if I said, "Oh, Joey, you did good," and Joey's clapped for himself, you're a nerd. Yeah. You're out, right? And so I said, "You just can't clap for yourself," which was funny. But anyway, that was the only rule. So. This gal, and I think I may have told this story before, but either way, it's just such a powerful and impactful story. This gal, it was Monday that we were doing this with, and man, her face was all like pimpled up and acne, bad. And she just didn't look right, and so she's getting ready to say something in OTJ, and I'm like, what's going on here? And she couldn't get it out. Yeah. So she called me in the middle of the freaking night. So I'm like, I bring my wife out. I'm like, oh boy, here we're all going to jail, right? And my wife and I are sitting at our dinner table, and she gets out what she was trying to get out in OTJ, and it was that she was raped, right? And so me, I get like tear-jerks. I'm protective. Yeah. I'm like, oh, who is it? Right. I'm gonna go rape him in a minute, right? Like I get very protective, because those are my peeps, right? Yeah. So we talked it through. My wife was very gracious, and we went all that. And and this was like on a Thursday. The next week on Monday, she said it to the whole group. Within 2 weeks, face cleared up, walking with her chest high, her head, all that, because she finally got that poison out of her. Right. And she's a beautiful girl in the end, right? But she was just covered up. Or like we talked about the 7-count wife. Yeah. Right? Just, and then she just became this beautiful thing. And so that's the power of OTJ. And so if people can start understanding, again, I don't care if you're a parent. I don't care if you're an athlete. I don't care if you're a boss. I don't care. I do not care. Male, female, right? I don't care. If you start putting some of these things together, you watch, your life's going to get a lot better. And like I always say with time hacks, I'm like this, you're going to hack a lot of time from some stuff. Initially, maybe up front, you're spending a little extra, but in the rears, you don't have to do anything because it's all there for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And so is that something that you to this day will always do, is just start with OTJ?
Usually. Yeah, usually. A lot of it depends at first. Like sometimes with a new group, I want to get into it, and I'm not being mature enough to, like, wait a minute, we got to go through this process. And with the new inner circle, one of the inner circles we have, the trust isn't there yet. People aren't opening up. Right? But you saw what I did. Yeah. Said you guys will need to come with an OTJ. So what is it? Praising. Yeah. But eventually, as that inner circle gets bigger, we have several inner circles. As that one gets bigger, they'll start opening up, and it's what I call it with the team the cathartic moment. And every time I would get to the cathartic moment with the team, and watch out, because now they have your back as family. Right. Because it's all out on the table, all the junk's out. So now I got your back, not as my teammate, but as my family member. And you know how that goes. Right. Somebody mess with my family, well, that's going to be an interesting thing. that's family, right? Now for me, I counted all of my friends as family, all of my peeps as family. I had a big family, right?
Yeah, for sure. And so then, obviously, OTJ is also universal, not specific to a genre. Or
Yeah, the only thing I would say it's not 100% universal. I mean, it can work one-on-one, but it's more of a group setting.
Okay.
That would be the only thing. I mean, it can work like that, but it's just different dynamics. This is something that needs to happen, and the group can be probably like 4 or more.
Okay.
You might be able to get away with it for 3, but 4 or more. But if you get 20 or 30, like a true team, like 12 or 15 members on a basketball team or 80 members on a football team, and they can understand and get that time to get some of that junk out. It's powerful. Yeah, it's powerful. One of the most powerful things we've ever created, and we didn't create it. It just happened. Yeah.
Got it. And so now we'll talk about the radical reflection.
Yeah.
What is radical reflection?
Just simple. We break it down for confirmations, tweaks, and ahas.
Okay.
And so, so let's say we give a training or a gathering or a meeting or we talked or whatever, and I say to you at the end, so I could do it, with you, even though you're interviewing, I'm sure you're learning something, right? So I would say to you, hey, in this specific way, you got to do it in a very specific way. Most of the time it's out here a little bit, conceptually or whatever, and you could still do it like that, but I like to be real specific with them. You would say, my confirmation is or was. My tweak is or was. My aha. So the aha moment is this. Aha, I never thought about that. I had never thought about a blue shirt on Thursday in my whole life, right?
Okay.
The confirmation is, I knew that, but I'm glad I heard it again, right? I know that drinking yellow snow is not the correct thing to do, but I'm glad that I heard it again. And then you have the tweak, and you go, oh, so I'm supposed to wear my hat, but if I turn my hat backwards, that means versus more, goofy versus rally cap versus, more professional. You know what I mean? So that would be a tweak to your learning. And so the person, if I ask that as the facilitator, the leader of the group, then how they would repeat back is that. And they can do all 3 or they can just do 1. My aha moment today was blue shirt on Monday. My confirmation was that you don't eat yellow snow. Yeah. My tweak, whatever.
Whatever, got it.
Yeah.
And so what is the purpose for the radical reflection?
It's powerful, dude. It cements the learning. Okay. So if you're doing the gradual release up front, the learning should be pretty good. Yeah. But if you cement it in the back, because even if you set up the perfect world and gradual release responsibility, life happens in between. Yeah. So when you ask them that question, it gets them thinking, right? Which is what we kind of talk about in the individual system. Yes. Collect the data, thoughtfully advance. It's kind of like saying thoughtfully advance, right? Collect the data and thoughtfully advance, all wrapped in one. It's kind of a built-in mechanism. So, you could say, I wore my backpack, but the strap broke. Oh, well, what did you do about that? Not the mom that's going to direct and tell, or the dad's going to direct and tell, go fix it for him. No, don't fix it for him. Right. Don't do that. My dentist lady today said, sorry, ragging on you, I won't mention your name, Jimmy Bob. Yeah. She said, people crack me up. So is it St. Patrick's Day today? Yes. Yeah. So which I think's awesome that she did this. So she has a 5-year-old, I think, and a 7-year-old. And so they did Lucky Charms, right? But she's like, but they need some protein. So she put the eggs in the bowl. Yeah. Not in the cereal, but just not on a plate. Okay. And I guess the 5-year-old, the boy is a screamer, like, whiny and all that. And so she's like, well, use your words, whatever. And I said, I would have just looked at him and said, well, man, you have a dilemma. What are you going to do about it? Right? Yeah. Which we've talked about, that natural consequence versus a forced, right? If the kid's going to run out in the middle of the street and get hit by a car, then you go snatch them up. Right. If it's a no instead of a redirect, then say no. Right. Right. But if not, let's see what happens. I don't know. You may put it on the ground and eat it out of the dog's bowl. Right. You may pick it up with your hands. You may put it on a paper towel. I don't know what you're going to do. But the reality is, if I'm rescuing you, I am now confirming your whining. I am now doing for you. And now what about when you're 17 years old and somebody punches you in the nose? Yeah, you're going to be like, Mom, what do I do? Right. Well, you may not have time for that. Yeah. You may be in the fight for your life, right? Or somebody's trying to rape your girl or somebody, whatever. Yeah. Right? And this is how we teach people to be able to do that. Mm-hmm. So, did I answer the question?
Yeah.
I know I went, okay.
Yeah.
I know I went off on a tangent.
No, you heard
I was just thinking about this poor lady today, and I thought, she looked tired. Well, yeah, you're taking all the ownership.
Right.
You're running around ragged. Yeah. Hey, business owner, you can't be all things to all people, dude. You can't do it.
And so once again, we run into another universal, probably, like you said, 25% of it all.
I think so.
Tying into what we're going to go over next, which is dutiful debrief. Dutiful.
Whatever. Like I said, it's conceptually the same thing. You know, we can call it dutiful today and donut tomorrow and did it today and da-da-da-da. You know, I like to put two D's together. I got yes.
So what is the dutiful debrief?
So that one is similar in conceptually, but it goes a little deeper. Okay. Right? So what we asked this time is, what was your key learning or learnings, plural? Mm-hmm. So over this training or over this time or at school today or whatever. Because just you may have to ask me that question again. But remember when we used to get in the car and we would do this, right? Yeah. And your friends are like, and they would look at us like we were crazy. Like, what are you guys doing? We're like, what do you mean, what are we doing? Like, because I would ask them, like, you know, debrief today. I go, what do you normally do with your mom? She goes, listen to music. I'm like, dude, I only get this long with my kids. Yeah. So I'm going to take full advantage of it. So I'm sorry, what was it again?
What is the dutiful debrief?
Yeah, so, it's a duty, right? You need to do it, right? So if you don't have a lot of time, do a quick reflection. Okay. If you have more time, which I don't, do with you guys in Inner Circle because, we're all over the map right now trying to do stuff or whatever. Which it'll slow down, but we'll get to that. But it's what was your key learning over this 30 minutes or hour a day or key learnings? You might have 2 or 3. Mm-hmm. How might you use that in your personal life, right? And then how might you use that in your professional life? And I'll say something on that. People would say, well, if they're a kid, what do you mean their professional life? I'm like, do they go to school for 8 hours? That's their professional life. Right? So that's how you would make the distinction. So how would this key learning, red shirt on Monday, how does that work in your personal life? Oh, well, I can wear a red shirt. Well, how would it work in your professional life? Well, I have to do it with a tie. I mean, whatever. Right? And then the big thing is you put a time frame and a deadline to it. And then you twist it. You go, are you committed to what you said you were going to do? Back to the ownership model. So I do that with you guys all the time, right? Time frame and deadlines. Yeah. Do I tell you what the time frame is? We just did that before the interview. Right. I said, Nick, how long does it take you to do that? Yeah. Time frame. Mm-hmm. Right? And then before on this whole project, what's the projected? You said 3 weeks. Yep. Are you committed to doing that? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. If not, you don't get a paycheck, right? Right. But you know what I'm saying. But that's it. And so they're both the same. So just think about this. If you do these, I don't know how many it was, but 5 or 7 plug-in mechanisms. Yeah. You're about 90% of life, dude. Yeah. Just plug every little thing into it, and you go, oh yeah, uh-huh. And it becomes just so fast.
Right.
Super fast. What was that? I used to wear a shirt that's on this big old belly. I was fast, by the way, super fast. And I got this shirt. I wanted to be cool. And it said super fast in fluorescent. It was real bright. It's funny because I'm using it in the background. I just keep to myself. But I wear bright stuff, right? Shoes. Like purple and I don't know. It's weird. Well, yeah. But I was super fast. I used to whoop you until what, 8th grade, 9th grade?
No.
Dude. Oh, no, I'm not even getting through this. We went through Rewind video episode 3-7. He can't beat me. That's what it is. Now we can.
But as we're closing up shop, is there anything else you'd like to tell the audience?
No, I just wish that you guys would take this seriously. We're having fun and goofing. And right now, like anything else, it's slow moving. We got 200 videos out, blah blah. But people are going to start seeing this, and I think we need to do a better job of, picking genres of audiences. But it's hard because it really is what I call the big E,
Yeah.
and it's for everybody.
Right. Yeah.
But I think that, I want to start talking more to parents.
Mm-hmm.
I've been thinking about it a little bit more over the last couple weeks and whatnot, because the nice thing about when you talk to the parents, you're also getting to the kids, which is what we do in 90% of our other businesses anyway, right? But I think about like with the parents, and I'm like, I could teach you how to side hustle. You need to make some extra money.
Right.
Or in my other business, I could teach you about money.
Yeah.
Right? I can teach you about your budget. I can teach you about, insurance and retirement. I can teach you about. So I started to, put these things together, and I'm like, huh.
Right.
But, but it works for everybody. So, if you look at that and you say, man, I'm going to take that learning and give it 21 days, even if it's 21 days at a time, and then start, monkeying them together, hook them together. I think it can be very powerful for whoever listens and just follows it and understands it.
Right, 100.
I mean, look at you. You'd have been a complete bum loser if you weren't doing this.
I was the winner, but...
Well, heck, earlier you're talking bad about yourself. Now you're a winner all of a sudden. Which one is it?
Well, I was just following your lead.
If you need to contact Brett or Coach, please do so on his social media accounts, email, and or text. You can find that information in the description below. Again, please like, subscribe, comment, share, and hit the notification bell. Thanks, and we hope you enjoyed.
Today I am having to do, once again, the introduction. Somebody doesn't know how to introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Brett.